This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, July 28th, 2020, episode 289. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, you can visit our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. If you're interested in some IT shenanigans, you can check out my IT blog, dudeinit.com, which I have not updated in quite some time, but I have an excuse. Man who doesn't have an excuse, joining me from the state of Idaho, Brian.
That's true.
With an eye, Aldridge. Hello, Mr. Brian. How you doing? How you doing this fine Tuesday evening?
I'm doing very well, and if you want to find me, you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Parler. There we go.
Whoa!
And you can go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Also, if you'd like, you can go ahead and go to our website. If you go to infectionpodcast.com, you notice there on the right-hand side, we have a join our server on Discord. If you want to jump in and give topics for news, we have a channel that's a news channel. If there's a game maybe we haven't been covering or a topic that's come up in the week that you think we should cover, you're more than welcome to jump in there and go ahead and put that information in the news channel, and we'll cover that before we go and create our show notes for the week. Also, we have our Steam group. If you can get a notification right before the live show starts, it pops up if you have Steam open. If you happen to be there, you can join us live. We also have our videos on BitChute. I got to make sure we don't say Mixer anymore, but
BitChute, it's gone, isn't
YouTube. It? Now it's officially, like in the past week, it's
Whoa.
Totally gone. I don't think it'll.
Oh my God! Look, it's
else.
literally gone, and it's redirecting you to Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm not clicking on
it. There you go. So now if you want to do it, you got to do BitChute, DLive, Twitch, and YouTube, and we actually stream to a number of those all at the same time, so you can watch us on any of those. Also, if you want to check out show notes, and maybe you're listening to it after the fact, or you're watching it after the fact, and you want to follow along, you can pull up the show notes for this episode and check out some of the videos, the different patch notes, whatever it happens to be that we're talking about. We have all of those on there. If you want to support us, there's a support option on the menu, and those will give you things like humble.infectionpodcast.com, or if you can do a Humble Bundle purchase, just type that in really quick, or amazon.infectionpodcast.com if you can do an Amazon purchase, and then pretty much Twitch Prime, which is a great way that you can give us money for nothing out of your own pocket. So if you happen to have Amazon Prime, you can link that to your Twitch, sub to us, and then we get a little bit of kickback from that. And as you can see, there you go. UJX Vibe, thank you for the sub.
Yes, that is Brian, are you ready for this? 30 months in a row. This man has been giving us...
Is he in first place?
I think he is. And let me tell you what, and I'm not shaming anybody, Brian. This is a tier 1 subscription. This is not the freebie. I'm not shaming anybody. No. I'm just saying this is dedication. And his comment is William Barr for President 2024. I'm not going to make a comment on that. But I'm just going to read. The people put comments. I read them.
Actually, I take that. So he and Green Man, I think. So actually, UBGX is first place. Green Man is second place. Saul is third place. So we also got a Joe is 29 months, but he's fourth place. But I think he just did it right afterwards. No, sorry, Joe.
We got an ice cream donated to us on DLive, Brian. Not sure what that is. Not sure what
we've upgraded from lemons to ice
lemons
cream.
Lemons are the smallest donation. Then there's ice cream is the next big one. So we've got that going on over on the DLive. Still not sure exactly what that is going to translate into for us.
By the time we go to PAX, we'll be able to buy a coffee with it. I have the feeling that may be fairly
I tell
accurate.
you what, we might need that after one of the nights at PAX. Coffee was not the worst thing in the world. What's going on with you, Brian? It's been I don't think we've talked at all this week. I've been so busy with getting back to work and moving. So, what's going on?
Yeah, I was out of town pretty much. When I say out of town, like normally when I'm out of town, I have a computer with me and my phone and everything, but I went out of town and went up to a small mountain town where there was no cell phone service.
Really?
Yeah, so pretty much from Friday till Monday, and I came back Monday, no cell phone service. During that time, my data center decides to move our server
Oh, nice.
to another location. So they shut it off. They move it, turn it back on, doesn't work. So I figured this out on Monday, because Monday morning they did it.
Oh, nice.
And so I was fixing that all Monday evening when I got home, which was a lot of fun. Everything's back up. So when you can go to upload the podcast and everything will be good today. But
speaking of uploading the podcast, Brian, I had an epiphany is not the right word. I had a moment of shock after last week's program. So we do the show, we do the post show, and our show typically the video version of our show, which is 720p, because there's not really any video content we show. There's no reason to do 1080. Is like somewhere between like 2 3/4 and 3 gigabytes, somewhere maybe 2.5 to 3 gigabytes, somewhere in that range. It's a relatively large file. I upload the video version to YouTube first, and then BitChute. And then while that's going on, I rip the audio out of the MP4, compress it to 96K MP3, upload it to the website, do the artwork, do the whole shebang, do the timestamps, get everything good to go. It takes me. We wrap up the post show. I typically get up and walk around for a little bit because I've been sitting for 3 hours. So maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, I sit back down here and I start uploading things. Probably about 11:30 is by the time I've got everything uploaded. Brian, I had the YouTube and BitChute versions of the show up in less than 10 minutes combined, with over 600 megabits up. I dragged it to YouTube, went to go pee, walked back, and it was processing. I thought I'd uploaded the wrong thing. I was like, oh, I must have uploaded like a 30-second clip or something. So I canceled the upload, started it again, and it just. I don't believe I could ever live somewhere else where gigabit internet is not available. I am ruined as an individual.
That's the thing, is you're spoiled with the upload. Like at where our game servers hosted, at my parents' house, they have actual fiber like you have. And so I can get gigabit up and down there. But here I can only get 50 megabits up, gigabit down. Yeah. So my download's nice and fast, but second I go to upload something, I mean, I can't really complain too much with 50 megabits because there's a lot of people with 5 megabits. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But still, compared to the speeds that I'm downloading, the upload is nowhere close.
I just didn't think so. The reason I went with AT&T, which I'm probably gonna end up having to switch back to Spectrum because the service has been out 3 times in 11 days. But the reason I went with AT&T was, well, first of all, it was faster, but it was also a whole hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So, and I was excited to get it, but I already had 300 by 20. And I didn't think it was going to make that big of a difference. And I didn't realize it until Tuesday, literally after the show last week. I had, doing regular things on the internet, like you do, YouTube videos don't load any faster on gigabit internet than they do on even 20 or 30 megabits down. I don't, and because I haven't been really spending a whole hell of a lot of time on the computer, I haven't even noticed it anyway. But doing that on Tuesday was, it was intense. And now when I see when I hear people now that say I can't not have gigabit, I always kind of thought they were full of it. Like, oh, you're just being an internet snob. Yeah. I don't see it. Doing this show, I couldn't see going back because literally I'd be spending an hour and a half, 2 hours because you want to let the YouTube go all the way and then let the BitChute upload. Because if you upload them at the same time, then it's just they take doubly as long. It's not any quicker. So it's. Let the YouTube upload, which took about 30 to 45, 50 minutes, something like that. But now it was done. I had the complete show uploaded. I had to rush to get the image done. I was scrambling to get the image and the audio because I had the whole thing done by 10:30. Half an hour, start to finish, the entire program. I was jazzed. I felt like a new man.
Well, that's the thing is now, I mean, as far as our connection to each other and everything, it solves a lot of issues to where I can pretty much stream to you at a full 50 megabits if we needed to.
Yeah, let's see. I could see what you're saying.
Which I'd be surprised. I mean, I'd have to do 4K.
You're sending me you're sending me 2 megabits a second right now. That's a lot of bandwidth. And it's real-time bandwidth too. It's not buffer. 2 megabits consistent, no buffer. Yeah. We've got 200 milliseconds or so delay. And you're sending me 720p video. It looks great.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the nicest things is
Yeah.
it makes it to where, because I got the new clear camera, it makes it clear. It's a nice setup. So
Yep. So
nice.
On the house front, Brian, I got a grill. I'm now the grill meister. I've been doing. I did a pizza on the grill. That was exciting. I've done burgers and hot dogs and corn on the cob and zucchini. I'm becoming the. Tell you what, any single ladies looking for a man that can, click a couple tongs together, flip a couple burgers or some brats. I'm not saying I'm available, but I could be for the right circumstances. Other than that, I just been unpacking stuff, getting some furniture, put a new water heater. It's been a busy week. I had Thursday, Friday
that's
off
the
work.
fun thing. Well, I saw you post some pictures of dealing with the shut-off valves.
Oh,
that's something that I had to deal with. I know I've told you that story before.
You have. Yeah.
Oh, now you know how easy it can happen, because those valves, they stink. The twist valves, there's a secret to them that I learned after all the.
They're called ball valves, I believe is what they're called, and they're older, and they're not. That's why they're not used anymore.
Yeah, so you have to twist and twist to turn off. But the secret is, on an old house, that it builds a lot of corrosion in there.
Yep.
And if you twist it, then it kind of compresses and makes it to where it can't close. So the secret is you got to turn it a little bit, back off, turn it back off, turn it back off until it clears out all that gunk. As you're closing it, then you're able to successfully close it. And then you replace them with quarter turns and you never think about it again.
Well, I had to hire a plumber to replace the quarter turn because it was...
I was going to replace it, and then I had to hire a plumber to fix the off valve for the main turn off for my home under the house. That was my last resort. I was trying to turn off the water to stop the gushing water in my garage. So, great. And under my sink. We'll talk about that story later.
It's a post show story. So yeah, I've been doing that. Haven't set up any of my consoles yet. They're all in boxes in the room in front of me. Got to set up my entertainment center over there. Actually, that's not true. I think I played Call of Duty maybe 2 or 3 games the other night just to play around with, just to see how things went. But I haven't touched the video. I'm going to be honest, Brian. I'm out of the loop. Now I'm back at work. My parents left on Sunday. They were down here for like 11 days helping me with stuff, and I went back to work yesterday, and it's been nonstop since. So, let's start it off here with AMD. Yes. I've got a story for you, Brian. Back in the year of our Lord 2016, I was I was a freshman in community college, and I started playing around with the stock market a little bit. College wasn't expensive. No. Had a couple bucks, so I bought some AMD stock on May 9th, 2016 at a very good price, Brian. $8 a share.
Oof.
Very good price.
Yes.
Then, like a stupid jackass, I sold that stock.
This was going to have a good ending.
I sold that stock for what I thought was a good return, $14 a share. Now, AMD is cruising at $53 a share. Yeah. And I got yet again shafted. I bought GameStop. That was a terrible investment. I bought AMD, tried to make a couple bucks like a stupid jackass, and now I see this. I just can't win, Brian. Literally can't win. It's like why bother?
It in.
No, you're not rubbing it in. I've been watching the AMD stock go up, and I have a friend I play COD with. It's like, oh, I'm glad I held on to my AMD, and I'm like, hey, that's what I think about you. I don't care about your AMD stock.
Actually, AMD ended at 63.44.
Oh God.
Intel's ended at 53.39. So the thing is, for the first time ever, AMD has a higher stock price than Intel. And I know people have always given me so much flack for owning AMD chips.
Well, the FX series.
Understand
sucked.
The FX series was heating my home. I didn't need to use natural gas at that period of time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I lied. I bought AMD stock. It was $3 a share. $3.51 in 2016. I'm going to do some math while you talk, and we'll see how much money I would have had.
Well, I mean, $3 you said? That's like a 200%.
Hold on. I'm going to do the math while you're talking. Go for it.
Oh, that'd be more too. It'd be like 2,000%. I don't know. It'd be something ridiculous. Yeah. So this is the first time, and one thing, the big things. I mean, we could look at the kind of this cascade of what's caused Intel to have this happen. They had all those issues with their chips. A lot of people don't realize Intel took a lot of shortcuts, making their chips faster to make it so that they performed that much faster than AMD did. And AMD was trying to keep up and ended up making their CPUs burn way too hot. But then after all of these vulnerabilities started coming out,
hold on.
After all,
AMD is now at $74 a share.
Oh, it's going up.
Okay, I got to stop you. So I bought 30 shares of AMD at $3 for $100. That would be worth almost $2,500 right now.
There you go.
I'm a stupid asshole, Brian. For the record. Hey, you know what I say, Brian? You got to spend money to make money. That's what I say.
That's right. You got to lose money to, well, who knows?
You got to lose money to live. Yeah.
To appreciate it.
But hey, I made like $23.
Oh, that was great. So I've been investing just because my health savings account through my work, like the money goes into there and it's not taxed, and I can actually take that and invest it directly from my health savings account rather than using it for health things, because you can only have like $3,000 or something in there. And so I transfer it, invest money, and so I throw it into random stocks and then just kind of watch them. Whenever they go up a significant amount, then I'll sell it and just kind of keep cycling that, so I keep making money here and there.
What's really crazy is
but no $2,000 loss.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not really a loss. I mean, believe me, that's as bad as that sounds. You look at all the people that were jumping off buildings in 2008 after they realized everything they had was gone. I'm not super worried about it. But if we look at the 5-year chart of AMD, this stock in 2016 was literally, I mean, when I bought it, it was opening at $2 or $3 a share, and it was even in late 2017, it was still only trading at $10 a share. And it wasn't until you had a huge spike in late 2018 where it was selling around $30, a little bit of a dip back down to 20. But since the Ryzen chipset took off, Brian, and has been taking off in 2019, this stock has gone through the effing roof. I mean, you're looking at where's the 5-year return? I don't know. I don't normally use the stocks. Nevertheless, even in after hours, Brian, the stock's up 10% in after hours trading. It's up almost $7. They are on a, if you're working inside of Intel right now, you have got to be petrified with what AMD is doing. They are kicking Intel's ass. Yeah.
Can you pull up that chart really quick and look around January of 2018? Is that when you would say, like, so the beginning of 2018?
Yeah, right around here is when it's now. Yeah, right. It dipped in.
Go back to the beginning of it, where you see how it's pretty steady, like at mid 2018. Yeah, this is when like the meltdown and all of that. Before that, right around, just go to the left a little bit, right through there. Yeah. That's about when meltdown and all that became known, where Intel chips were incredibly dangerous to use. And I have a feeling that a lot of data centers, and Amazon especially, probably started purchasing a lot of chips at that point in time to get rid of all of these Intel chips that had vulnerabilities that you could not really easily work around without killing your performance. Because I mean, for them, you cut the performance in half on their systems, you're losing money. You're losing half your money. Yeah,
so the roller coaster for AMD started in around Christmas of 2018. That's when it was at its bottom, and then it has been on an upward trend going on almost 2 years now. Be 2 years in December, a year and a half, whatever. And I was watching Fox Business today, and they were talking about AMD. And Donnie says, I'm considering buying stock in AMD. That's the question now. Is
it going to keep going up, and you don't know that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of the stock is in bull territory. It's been, I mean, you're talking about a year-to-date return. It started off the year, at $39 a share. You're looking at almost a double year-to-date return as of now. I mean, that's unheard of.
But I think a lot of it comes down to AMD was not taking shortcuts to boost performance while sacrificing pretty much security, and Intel was. And that
Well-
it became known at that point in 2018, it became known that Intel was doing very, very insecure things. And they were doing things where let's say you were hosting Amazon servers, like cloud computing, you could use some of these vulnerabilities and get data off of other people's instances on that same server. And so that was some of the big security risks where you look at Amazon, that's a huge risk for them. So probably I would assume they replaced a lot of their things, or if they patch them, they'd lose 50%. And for them, I think they'd rather just buy all new hardware. So that's it's crazy.
Well, it's the security thing, but Brian, it's also the complacency of Intel and their I series, which I don't remember when the I series started. It would have been prior to 2010 is when like the first i3, i5, i7s came out. And at the time you had AMD Athlon, which was not a great processor. And the I series,
it was half the price, but it wasn't the performance of the other.
Yeah. And then the FX series was an abomination on AMD side. The chips were cheap, but the performance sucked. The heat was consumption with the power consumption was crazy.
Right there, you see that there's I have a water cooler right there. I have to run that water cooler with my FX chip, or else my computer shuts down on a regular basis.
I had a water cooler on my FX chip, but it still overheated. I had a box fan blowing air into the thing.
And then you'll notice to the right of that, there's a little, you can't see because of the mic, but there's a little fan there. There's a thing to blow out the thing because I had to clean it regularly because if it's not running at optimal performance, the thing overheats. I'm looking to replace it. I'm thinking I'm going to get one of the nice new thread rippers that are actually really, really good performance.
Yeah. So it has been interesting to watch the AMD train. And Donnie's pointing out, isn't the PlayStation 5 going to be using AMD hardware? I believe both systems are using AMD architecture, right?
I think so. Man, Intel's kind of lost their...
Well, yeah, but
they were the top dog
but
for
they
a long
weren't.
time.
Not in consoles, though.
No, but I mean, with desktops and like people's name recognition, like when they said, I'm going to go get a chip, I mean, you guys would make fun of me. Oh, I got an AMD.
Yeah, well, and rightfully so. The FX series sucked.
Because it overheats like crazy. Yeah. But now I think people can't legitimately criticize you for owning a modern AMD chip. I think it's kind of turning to where you're almost going to be criticized more for getting an Intel chip because of all the still unpatched vulnerabilities on a lot of them.
Well, and the price to performance, isn't there. Now, if you're in certain workplaces where hyper-threading is super important, and a hypervisor and things like that, you're going to want to run Intel chips. Server infrastructures for like Windows Server, you're probably still going to want to run an Intel chip, a Xeon. But for regular consumers, I've said it a couple times on here, and I'll echo it again. Unless you have a specific reason to go with Intel, I think you're stupid to buy one. It doesn't seem to make sense. Now, if there's a specific use case or something, great. But if you're just, shopping dollar to donuts CPUs, I think it'd be stupid not to go with AMD, especially the fourth gen Ryzen, which is what I have. And I mean, I'm doing the show right now. We're streaming to 3 different CDNs. Thanks, Windows. We're streaming to 3 different CDNs. I've got your video in here. I'm doing a screen. My CPU is at 13% as we sit.
Yep. Now, one thing, I don't know, there's the video for the Epic Mega Grant. Now, could you play that in the background just with
absolutely.
the video, no audio, because all it is music?
Yeah.
But I figured people could kind of see. And I just wanted to mention AMD actually contributed to this Epic Mega Grant program. They provided, I think it was $100 million, if I remember correctly. No, Epic has done $100 million, and AMD this past week or so has made a contribution to that. So, and I'm thinking that most likely the reasoning is if they can get any kind of built-in performance improvements on, let's say, Unreal Engine, that would make a huge difference in the gaming world. Just like NVIDIA, a lot of times will get performance enhancements for their video cards on a lot of games. I think here you'll see that because of how well AMD is doing, you'll start seeing that more. Plus, both consoles are running AMD. So, and Unreal Engine is going to be making games for both consoles, for PCs. So this is a very smart move for them, but they're looking to really kind of push their 3800 Ryzen 7 series of chips, and with this boost. So we'll have a link to that. You can go check it out. There's a lot of different things they do, but AMD did announce that they're supporting the Epic Mega Grant program, and they're doing it through hardware. So they're donating 200 of those chips, and those are going to be given away to new and existing recipients of the Mega Grant. So they're kind of becoming the official processor of Unreal, and so we'll see how well that works out for them. But as you can see from the stock and everything else, I mean, they're on the top right now, so they're taking advantage of it.
Well, and you know who else takes advantage of it, Brian? And we see it with the video game market. We see it everywhere. You and I, the consumer, we are taking advantage of Intel being complacent with their i series and AMD essentially just under their nose pulling out the carpet and coming out with a architecture of CPU that is just, I mean, I'm subscribed to a couple tech YouTube channels. All of their most of their computer videos, Brian, are built on Ryzen. Very, you still have some builds, of course, that are Intel based, but a good chunk of videos that are talking about higher end hardware, they're using Ryzen 9 3900Xs, which I think is what I have, something like that. So it's cool, and it's great for us.
Well, it's amazing how just like those vulnerabilities that were found can instantly tarnish and kind of take away all that reputation they built all over all those years with their previous Intel chips. And, now you don't hear people talking highly about them. It's like, we're very, in the computer world, gaming world, computer world, we're very short-sighted as far as like, what are you doing for me now? And, it works out. I mean, you can't dwell on the past because they're not producing, if Intel's not producing good stuff now, you don't want to stay, you're not going to be a fanboy just because you're like, I have an Intel, banner on my wall and posters and all this. No, if AMD's the biggest chip, best chip to get right now, PC users will go get those. So
yeah. Well, and the one thing that Intel still has AMD built on is the mobile processor market. The power consumption on the Intel mobile chips is unreal. No pun intended. That's why, I mean, you look at the battery life on OS X, the Apple ecosystem for laptops, and it's because of the power consumption on those Intel chips. Plus, they scale them back to like 1.2 gigahertz. But that's why you have
they're like Atom chips.
Yeah, the Intel Atom, good stuff. So yeah, interesting stuff on AMD. Jonesy says my next upgrade will be switching from Intel to AMD Threadripper. I just did my build a couple months ago. I went from an i7 3700 or 4700, something like that, to the Ryzen 9, which I was, have been very happy with so far. I haven't had any issues with it. So if you want stock advice, tune into Fox Business or CNBC. Not here. I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not in a position to be investing right now with all my large purchases that just went on. So I'm not going to pontificate if I would jump. I probably wouldn't because I don't have the cash to if you're going to buy at, well, okay, I'll give you a little stock advice. If you're going to buy at $77 a share, $72, even $60 a share, unless you've got a couple grand to throw into it, your return, unless the stock doubles again, which is very unlikely, is going to be really low. So if you can only buy 2 shares at $77 or $70 or $60,
you might make $5-10 here over the next however many months.
Well, you're probably better off buying more of a lesser stock. I'm not an investor. I listen to some investment podcasts,
more of a chance. Yeah, that has more of a chance of doubling now because, as you said, AMD is not likely to double at this moment.
And if it does, I don't know what to say. If it does, who knows? It could quadruple. I mean, it could turn into Uber stock or something. It's trading at what, $1,200 a share or something. It's crazy. But yeah, that's a little economics for you. Brian, we've got a new game out. We've talked about it in the past. I actually got a message from a friend of ours last night who said, "Hey man, are you going to be playing this game?" I don't want to dox him. His Discord name is T-Rex. And he sent me a message and said, "Hey, are you going to be playing Grounded, which is the Bugs Life style video game?"
Yeah, Bugs Life / Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes. I'm going to play the trailer really quick, which I think is a really cool trailer. And then we'll talk about the game, the launch, where you can get it, and all that fun jazz right after this.
If you're waiting for the biggest game of the year, then wait for Cyberpunk. But if you're ready for the smallest, we've got you covered. From Obsidian Entertainment, the makers of games that are nothing like this one. This summer, strive together to thrive together. Or just feed your friend to the spiders and go solo.
Very cool trailer, Brian. A little bit of mockery in there with Cyberpunk and the smallest game and Obsidian, unlike games we've ever made in the past. I would say one of the more polished isn't the right word I'm looking for. One of the more professional trailers, I guess. A lot of the games that we look at when they release trailers, it's normally just kind of music in the background with some sort of, they had a professional voice actor over it. And that obviously had something to do with the fact that it's being pushed heavily by Microsoft. But I would say for an early access game, Brian, in terms of the trailer, I'm not speaking of the accuracy of the trailer, but the quality of the trailer. This reminds me of a 30-second TV. This could be a TV commercial. Unlike a game like Last Oasis or SCUM or even Rust for a matter, or Ark. Those aren't TV commercials, right? It's the panning camera with music, and this is a commercial. This is a marketing. This reminds me of like a Halo or a Call of Duty commercial. And obviously it's nowhere near the size of one of those games, but I was pretty impressed with the trailer. Now the game itself is out. It came out today, and the early access is live. It is available on Game Preview on Xbox, which is also part of the Xbox Game Pass, which is interesting to see. I can't remember many other examples of early access preview games being part of Game Pass on launch. Not something that is super common. It's also available on PC through the Microsoft Game Pass Ultimate thing as well. So you can play it on either platform if you have Game Pass Ultimate. And then, of course, if you aren't into that ecosystem or that doesn't tickle your fancy, you can buy it on Steam for what is now $29.99, which seems to be kind of the going rate for a new game that fits this kind of level of game. That seems to be the going price. Now, there is a major issue with this game as of now, Brian, and that is that the multiplayer on PC is only through the Xbox friend system, which I don't know if it's a huge oversight or just sheer incompetence, because the last thing people want to do is buy a $30 game on Steam instead of buying it on Xbox, or excuse me, instead of buying it on the Microsoft Store on Windows, they buy it on Steam, and then they still have to go figure out the username and password for their Xbox account they made when they were 11 years old and to log in to play with a friend. I'm hoping it was just oversight and it's not Microsoft trying to belittle Steam, because then don't put the game on Steam. If you're going to do this crap, don't put the game on Steam, in my opinion.
But do you think that another possibility is they're waiting for, because one thing, the Epic tools for managing all this Do you think that possibly they were waiting for that, expecting it to be out in the summer? COVID put everything way behind schedule because they were supposed to release all those tools in the summer. The networking, the voice chat, all of those things through Epic were supposed to be done. So I'm kind of curious if the reason they didn't is because they're planning on using those services, but those services are behind schedule.
Yeah. Then they should have.
I mean, it could be something really simple like that.
Yeah, but that's not simple, Brian.
They figure they have the Xbox is controlled. I mean, it's highly sponsored by Microsoft.
Well, it's published by them.
Yeah, so it's something that why wouldn't they use that system if they're not going to use the Steam one in the end?
Yeah,
I mean, they could easily put it in as an upgrade and switch
Obsidian
Epic.
Obsidian is owned by Microsoft, so it's not surprising. But what is surprising is this, because Microsoft has released other games on Steam that don't use your Xbox, Xbox friend system, and the problem that they're running into is they're getting the reviews on Steam are not what you'd want to see right out of the gate. So the game literally released today, 6 hours ago, and it's already got a 60-40 split on positive, 60 positive, 40 negative. That's not good. And a lot of it is people saying about the Xbox
friends list, which, so one thing, let's kind of look at it from another reason why they might do this, though, because first of all, the Xbox system doesn't work on consoles. I mean, you look at how Rocket League has had to do it, where they have a whole separate naming and friend system outside of Steam and outside of all these other places, so that all these different consoles and everything can play together. You know, why would they put it under Steam when Steam only works on Steam? I think they're viewing it as this is a console and PC game. It's not a PC game that was ported to console.
I get it, but separate your systems then. Use your Xbox.
Allow them to also use they should be let them use both. I mean, because that's what you can do on Rocket League is you could use either one.
That's my point, is either separate them, so have your Microsoft Store Windows version use the Xbox system. That's fine, because they're already using their Xbox account if they're buying it on there. And then, of course, your Xbox version uses the Xbox. And then have a Steam version with the Steam friends list. I'm not saying that I don't expect the Microsoft version to work, but when you list a game on Steam and then you list it as a co-op multiplayer, and then you have to go and join a friend through the Microsoft launcher on your computer, that to me is just unacceptable. To me, it seems a little shady and a little disingenuous.
Yeah, I mean,
how would you know that? People don't want to use.
I don't know their.
It doesn't bother me.
It'd be nice if they said, "Hey," it'd be nice if they put a little statement out saying the reason that we did this on Steam is because we're looking at implementing in the future. You know, because
this is what it says. You go to the Steam page and it says online co-op. You can face the backyard alone or together online with up to 3 friends. The choice is yours. What it should say next to that is an asterisk or italicized or in parentheses.
Requires an Xbox Live account.
Yes, using Xbox friend system. That would deal with the confusion, but it doesn't say that. And the only way you find out is spending $30 on the game and then being pissed off because you wanted to play it on Steam, and now you have to go and use your stupid Xbox account anyway to get access.
So, and one thing I want to make another comment. Here's one that seems very helpful. This one said, TLDR, wait for big updates and more content to be added. As you can see on this thing, it says he's played 0.6 hours. He's played 34 minutes of the game, and he's already beat it. He says it has a lot of potential. Hope they release big updates and not just trickle some small updates, since it clearly needs a lot more content than this. This is not early access. This is a demo you would play in 30 minutes to check if you feel like the feel of the game. And so he gave it a negative review because he got to, whatever it was. I don't know the goal of this, but he says he beat it in 34 minutes.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I don't really think you beat... Now, like any game...
Yeah, I don't know why. That's why I'm wondering what he says. Well, I don't know if there's some sort of quest system
Well, here's the
some
thing: you can speed run any game you want. Obviously, in 34 minutes, he didn't build bases and go through caves and fight bugs and whatnot. I mean,
but do you think that maybe there's an intro quest system to get you used to the controls and how to use the game? And he figured once he did the last quest that the game was over, and he doesn't understand survival games.
Well, that seems the whole point. Is you don't ever beat a survival game. You beat very few. So very few survival games have an actual end. And based on the video and what I've seen, we've talked about this game a number of times. This is not Assassin's Creed, or this is not Watch Dogs. This is not.
Now, what did it say in that? It said something or never go home. What was it saying? I was wondering if that kicked a.
It
right
said
before that.
Yeah, it says win or something like that. I don't know what it says.
I think. I mean, that may have hinted that there is some sort of a objective.
Well, you're in a backyard. That's the whole point. Is your kid's in a backyard?
But I'm thinking,
are
you trying to get full size? I'm wondering if there is some sort of a way to like make it back to the house.
Yeah.
Or
so
it says playing.
It says go big or never go home. Apparently.
So I wonder if you do all these certain objectives, you're able to pretty much go back home. I'll try it this weekend. I'll play it and see if I can tell a difference.
Yeah, I've heard a couple positive things from two different people I've talked to, but they said they had just played a little bit of it, not invested a whole bunch of time into it. So that's Grounded. It is available. It is a new survival game. If it fits your your criteria survival game. If you're on the fence about Xbox Game Pass, this might be a good reason to go ahead and purchase it for 3 months or something to try it out and
get
access to a whole bunch of other games as well. So, Grounded, available on Steam, the Microsoft Windows Store, and on Xbox Live.
Cool.
Check it out.
Another thing, we had talked about how Fortnite had removed cop cars a couple of weeks ago. One thing that are doing is they're adding regular cars to the game. Now, I know there are cars sitting there, but they're adding cars that you can drive in the game. So I think so that you can jump into the cars that are kind of around the map and play them. But it has been delayed a few weeks. It was supposed to be released here this week, but that's been delayed. And so I don't know. I think probably because a lot of their vehicles they've had issues with. They disabled the shopping carts, the hamster balls, when they were having a bunch of bugs. The mechs had a bunch of bugs in them. So I'm wondering if they're trying to fix their vehicles to where people don't explode randomly or have weird issues when they're trying to drive them. So, but a couple weeks here, we should be getting the cars, and I'm sure we'll be getting an announcement on that, and we'll show them off in a couple weeks in the show.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
That's pretty much it for Fortnite.
I found an interesting article here, Brian, this week. Massey University, Massey. They are a university out of New Zealand. They did a study where they went. Well, they didn't do a study. They went through and did a review of 28 previous studies about the impact and or correlation between violence in video games, gore in video games, fighting, shooting, killing in video games, and its effect on young people. The old meme is violence in video. Yeah. Oh, somebody played GTA and went on a shooting spree, which is something that the media has parroted for 30 years. How video games are causing people to be violent. And they went through this, and after reviewing 28 studies, large studies on this, their report found that there was not, but they said between video games and aggressiveness, there is not even high. It's not even high enough to be considered a small effect, saying that current research is unavailable to support the hypothesis that violent video games have a meaningful, long-term predictive impact on youth aggression. And I thought that was rather interesting. Now, this is one study. I didn't dig into the study. I don't know anything about this massive university. It could be total crap. I don't know. I thought it was interesting that instead of doing their own study, right, where we found no link, they did, extensive breakdowns of research that people had already done and drew a similar conclusion. So kind of fits what my thought has always been on this, being a youth that grew up playing Call of Duty and violent video games with all of my friends. None of us are gangbangers or murderers or criminals or anything. Now, small sample size, don't get me wrong, but I can't think.
Don't you think that video games and just the way people play them would actually lower your testosterone?
Well, I'm not talking about. Well,
honestly, I would think that physical activity would be more likely to raise your testosterone. Sitting and playing a video game, maybe whatever mental things are happening, I don't think it's actually affecting to where you would be more aggressive, as if you had.
Well, that's the thing, though. Testosterone and aggression are not necessarily the same thing. You can be
but I think that's what people are.
You can be high T. That doesn't mean you're like a crazy roid head that's like, Mad Max walking into a room and punching people through the ceiling. I would, in my humble opinion, Brian, I would say that pop culture has a higher impact on youth aggression and youth molding than video games do. That would be movies, music, and television. I would say that those three things, and now, of course, add the internet to that and YouTube and other websites, I would say that has a way bigger impact on.
Yeah.
Now, violence might not be the way to go, but you look at drugs and drug dealing and the infamous thug life. I would say that the internet and movies, television, and music play way more of an impact in things like that than a Call of Duty or Battlefield or Gears of War. Even as gory of a game as Gears of War is, I don't think playing Gears of War makes you want to go out and get a chainsaw and start chopping your neighbors in half.
Well, and I think that, like, if I remember, when I was young, there would be people that would listen to whatever groups, and then they would start to try to emulate them.
NWA, baby.
And then they'd be flashing gang signs, and these are kids from a suburb in Boise, back in the 90s, when there's zero crime, zero gangs, and you got these kids thinking they're a gang member when they've never been to the inner city, and they would probably die very quickly if they did. But they're in there like wearing the clothes and flashing the gang signs and doing graffiti in their parents' garage, and it's like, that obviously has much more of an effect. They're emulating that. They're repeating those behaviors. I've never seen anyone repeat behaviors out of a video game.
Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, Brian, are you? Yeah. You sound like your parents though with that conversation.
Sorry,
listening to the rap music and becoming a hoodlum.
But it is true to a point.
Old man Brian.
These kids were, when there was no other influence around them that could possibly kind of push them towards this emulating of gangs other than the music that they were listening to. That was the only thing.
Can I, maybe I shouldn't admit this. I watched The Sopranos for the first time, probably about a year ago. I don't know if you've seen The Sopranos, but it's a mob television show.
Yep.
Obviously lots of violence. Brian, that show made me drink and want to smoke cigarettes based on watching that show.
Yeah, because you want to emulate him.
No, it's not.
But when you see, but the thing is, when you see a character in a video game smoking, you don't think, well, I'm going to start smoking.
My point was, I took after the drinking and smoking part of the show, and not the killing the guy that owns the meat market and throwing his body in the Hudson River. Like that's
But,
kind of
but
what
I
I'm
also
saying
think
is
having a real person that you're looking at versus a video game character, I think we are able to socially or mentally disconnect from a video game where we realize, oh, that's not a real person. That's not a real thing. But when you're listening to music or when you're even someone on TV, you know, that's a real person. And you kind of you lose more of the track of, okay, you don't know who that real person is. You kind of you see that person as who they are through that character.
well, and I think you get more. If, for example, I don't think, for example, you get way more invested personally into television series, especially you look at long-term series like The Sopranos, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is what, 8-9 years. The Walking Dead, that show's been going on for 11 years or something at this point. You get way more invested in those than you do a video game. There's very few examples. Fallout, Skyrim, that are these like long track franchises. And Skyrim's not even a franchise; it's just been played for, the game's been out for 9 years or something, and it's still has a crazy amount of players. So I thought that the story was interesting, and I just surprised we don't hear. I mean, there are groups that push this thing forward, but I don't. It's always an attack on video games, and I just always found it interesting because I would.
Yeah, but they never say let's cut violence out of movies.
No, but I don't think violence makes. Violence is an extreme, right? Like killing somebody, Brian, is an extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Doing drugs is far less of an extreme.
Yeah.
It depends on in almost every single case. Smoking pot and murdering somebody are two very, very different things. Even doing something as hardcore as like cocaine is way different than literally murdering somebody. So you talk about violence versus drugs and alcohol and that whole thing. I would say, of course, you're more likely to do the drugs and the alcohol because who the hell's killing people? Like, you have a very few individuals that are going to go out and commit mass murder.
Yeah.
Than buying weed from the kid on the corner. Like, it's just, it's one is relatively obtainable and is probably not the worst thing in the world, and the other is literally killing somebody. So the whole violence versus other things has always really kind of pissed me off because I think it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. What are you gonna go do? You're gonna go, you play GTA, you're gonna go down the strip club and start killing prostitutes? I mean, seriously?
Well, that's when, I mean, you gotta remember when like Postal came out, like that's a game before your time.
I love Postal.
But Postal and these games, like they were like, oh, these are making kids violent. No, I don't think those postal workers that were killing people because they were playing any video games. Back when that actually happened, we had, for some reason, one year we had multiple postal workers flip out and start killing people in mass. And that was purely because of stress, I would assume. I don't know. I don't think anyone ever got down to the bottom of why, other than stress, people were killing people. But, it had nothing to do with video games. And, there's very few things that come up that are linked to video games where you could say, hey, they killed somebody because of video. I haven't seen one yet where there was a strong tie. So, I would tend to agree that this is most likely accurate. That we've been saying it for years, and there's been nothing that has come up for me to disprove it.
Agreed. So, rant over, but just it fit my narrative, so I decided to talk about it.
Perfect.
Hey, it's my show. What are you gonna do? You don't like it? Go listen to something else. I don't care. I mean, it is. I want to talk about it. It's my show. So my one thing on Steam that you're going to start seeing is they're actually enabling a thing for built-in beta testing. So they'll have pretty much where you can add something to your wish list. You could request to join play tests from the Steam page. So they'll be doing, they'll have a tab. You can click request access. If they approve you, the next time they do a play test, you'll then be able to download and play the game automatically. So this is not the same thing as going into the properties and playing an experimental build?
Because this is a game that you don't own.
Oh, this game's that aren't
or maybe
out.
That's not released yet.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you can say, I would like to be a part of your play test when they're testing, and hopefully this will get rid of some of these early access excuses.
Well, the other cool
that
thing
people
this
keep
would
putting
do
out.
is it would get rid of companies having to roll their own alpha and betas
Launcher.
through some. Now you can do alphas and betas through Steam privately, but you do a Steam code, which
You
we've
have to
gotten
do a
access
separate, but you have to do
And it's a
pretty
separate
much
game.
It's like a separate product. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a separate download. This will just do something temporarily that will make it so you don't have to have a beta game in your library anymore. And then you can go through and actually play it when they do their play test. So
Well, that's really
something
cool.
that's currently on their test, but I think they're going to be rolling it out here pretty soon. If it's not, because I haven't seen it yet, I just see pictures here of them showing it off. So keep an eye out for that. That should be in your Steam pretty soon. Now, there was a big leak, and I know that you'll probably get a kick out of this, but there was, they call it Giga Leak, of a bunch of Nintendo source code from some of their major games from the Nintendo 64 and NES. So The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, Star Fox 2, all of their source code was leaked, and a bunch of supporting documents. I think they had Star Fox 1 and 2, Yoshi's Island, Mario Kart, F-Zero. I think there's source code for those in there.
Damn.
I think for Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. And they had a bunch of supporting documents. So it's like they got a full, like they're pretty much their archive of information. It had the like original audio files for a lot of the characters. It had art and characters that weren't actually put in the final game. And so people are going through, and like, for instance, one thing that people had always suspected was that in Mario 64 that there was a Luigi character. Well, there is a Luigi character, so now they've taken it, and they put it back in the game, and you can play that character. But this is something that I think will make a big difference. You'll start seeing with some of these modding, the ROM sites where you can play these, that you'll have people, they'll have the source code, they can build their own clients, customize them, tune them, do all kinds of things. This is pretty big.
Well, what it also means, though, is obviously ROMs. It means you could actually port this to a executable where you wouldn't have to emulate it if you had the source code.
Run the emulator, yeah.
Yeah. I do like this. You skipped over the first sentence of this article here, Brian. An anonymous poster on the message board 4chan has leaked a massive trove of source code. It never ceases to amaze me, the 4chan. You don't hear anything about 4chan for months and months and years, and then all of a sudden,
it's like smeared into some crazy huge national thing.
This is where the posters went. 4chan to release Luigi Mario 64.
4chan's not always in the news, but when they are, they go big. So, and
as Saul says, the hacker known as 4chan, he's a talented individual. That's a very good point, Saul. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, got to stay away from the hacker 4chan. He's a real SOB.
Also, they had in there some tools, like some of their internal tools that they were using at the time to make some of the stuff. So I'm really interested in what might possibly happen
speedrunners
with this information.
Gotta be loving this. They could play some like
well, also they'll be able to try to find every little glitch in the game, so it'll be really interesting. It's more than 2 terabytes of files in this. So it's a huge, especially for games that are this old. 2 terabytes is a huge amount of information.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
And you can go and find videos of, like if you're into Star Fox, they have videos of all the different voiceovers, the original high quality versions. They have a bunch of art for characters that weren't in the game. Just interesting thing. For Mario, they have some bosses that were never put in the final game, and you can actually play them. So a lot of stuff.
Cool.
Keep an eye out for that. I'm sure. And there's probably no legal way to dwell on any of that. So do with it what you will.
Do we have a game giveaway?
Yes. So let me go ahead and get the raffle started.
All right. Awesome.
And then I'll announce it here in a second.
While Brian gets that going, we talked about last week or the week before, Lord of the Rings Online was down for going on like 7 or 8 days at that point. And it is now all back up. There were still 2 or 3 regions that were down. But they are all back up. And Brian, to compensate the players, they are giving you a thank you gift. You enter the code THANKYOUGIFT in the game between now and August 31st, and you will get skill and slayer deed boosts of 5 times. You'll get 5 times enhanced XP supply, a 5,000 enhanced reputation supply, 2,000 virtue acceleration tomes, and then VIP players will apparently receive compensation for their VIP time that they lost for this being down. So, I'm sure the Lord of the Rings
Online. I played it for. I have a character, but
you should log in and get your
please
thank
claim
you
it.
gift.
Yeah,
it's thank you
how
gift.
much they put me out
is the promo code, all one word, all uppercase. Yeah. Then there's still no explanation. They still did not say what the issue was and why the chat system was down, why the servers were, why it was like cascading, why certain regions were down. I don't think they ever will.
Probably a lot of the voodoo that they've used to make these systems work on such old code.
Well, and then it's funny because I just
hardware.
looked at this, Brian. 53 minutes ago, somebody commented on this article on Massively OP and trying to redeem the code. And it says, please enter a valid coupon code. So,
perfect.
So maybe the code isn't even working. Huh.
Yeah, this is part of their bugs.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, I will, I'll try it.
This guy says I couldn't get the code to work either. I can't get the code to work. TLDR, the code doesn't work. Oh, no, that's great. So the code doesn't even work.
Okay, well, maybe I won't try it. Yeah, thank you, gift, all uppercase.
Well, here's the thing, though. And one of the comments says this. 2 weeks of downtime, this is their compensation? Now, here's the thing. I don't know how you get compensated for 2 weeks of downtime. But to me, Brian, like, just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
An apology.
Like, this is stupid. I mean,
or if they make it a regular thing of like if it's ever down. The one thing, so there's some mobile games that I play that anytime that they have downtime, like anything that's unintentional to where they've not provided you the service that they should be, they give you a gift for it. Make it a regular thing. Just say, hey, we had some downtime. Here's a gift.
Yeah.
2 weeks. That's kind of a big.
Well, that's the thing is 2 weeks, the game was unplayable for certain people. And then their response was, here's 5,000 skill things. And it's like, really?
They probably charge $100 for that, though.
It just, I would assume, as Brian, if you're, I'm going to step out on a limb here. I would think most people playing the Lord of the Rings online probably play it pretty hardcore, and the 5,000
and our VIP players already, most likely,
and their 5,000 experience skill or whatever bullshit they're trying to give away is probably meaningless. And that's why it seems like kind of a half-ass. Just say, we're sorry.
Yeah. Or at least give an explanation.
Maybe that would be the best way to do it. Just say what happened and say, we hope it doesn't happen again. But giving experienced player, Brian, that would be like you when you were in the heart of WoW, them giving you like some gold. Like, oh, here's 10 gold or whatever it would be. And you'd be like, who cares?
Seems like their apology is more for the fact that they didn't communicate anything to their players is what they're apologizing for, not for the actual downtime.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
they pretty much were quiet about it. So,
well, it's back up apparently. Log in, and if you can even try to redeem your stuff, go for it. Thank you, gift.
Yeah, I might try it. We'll see. We'll see if I happen to think of it. So one thing, just as a note for people,
do we have a game giveaway?
Yes. So we're going to be doing Rise. This is a quick little one line thing. PS4's multiplayer is going to be free next weekend. So for people that don't have PlayStation Plus, if you want to play some multiplayer games that you usually don't have access to, you'll be able to play those on Saturday, August 8th through the 9th. So
next week and not this week coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, not this week. Next week. So a week and a half away, pretty much. You'll be able to play some online games. So if anybody doesn't have an account, maybe you can jump in and get some groups going.
Maybe I'll play some Red Dead Online.
There you go. We'll talk about that in a bit. So we're going to be giving a copy of Rise of Industry. Rise of Industry is a game that's currently $29.99 on Steam. It is a strategy management simulation economy game. So this is a game that's similar to like Prison Architect and things like that.
Factorio.
So if you're interested, Factorio. If you're interested in that, exclamation point giveaway in chat, and we will give it away before the end of the show.
Very cool. Well, I led us into it unintentionally. But Red Dead, I'm making a joke because I don't play Red Dead. You said there's some changes to online.
Yeah, so there's been a strike. I guess the people in game have been wearing clown outfits lately as a little bit of a protest because of the lack of content that Red Dead Online has had for quite some time now. So everybody in games has been wearing clown outfits just to send a message to the company that, hey, you haven't done anything. And so now they've actually, for the first time in a long time, released some content. And this is called The Naturalist. So if you want to play that video, and then we can talk a little bit about what it is.
All right.
I've been in the field now for 3 years, studying the hidden interconnections between animals of all species, including the locations of some truly impressive varieties.
While you're camped out in the woods, the rest of us are doing some real work. What about you there? You a hunter?
Let's learn from nature, not destroy it.
Survival of the fittest.
How do you sleep at night?
On the tiger bedspread, my dear.
All right. So is this going to does the community rejoice, Brian? Did they put the clown outfits away, or what's the deal?
I mean, yeah, to a point, people are accepting that, hey, they've done content, and what this is doing is pretty much you are going and taking pictures of various rare animals, and they add some new things. So they have, first of all, various locations you go and scout out. They have new legendary animals that they've added to the game, pretty much unique animals that you don't see in the regular game or currently are not online. And then you get to make some decisions. You get to choose whether you are use these findings to learn new skills or to bolster your resources and material gains. So you can either get new skills. They're making you make pretty much a choice with this. So this is new content. We'll see if people really enjoy it. It's just been out. I think it launched today or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Now, is this
I think it was today.
Is this a single player or a multiplayer thing, or both?
No, it's in the online. So the way that their online works is they have kind of quests. Mm-hmm. So I beat all the content of the regular one, but they have some additional kind of quests that I can do in the online mode, to where I go to a start point and it kind of takes you through a series of things. Some of them you can do with groups. They have various quests that you can do with groups. This one, it seems like this would be more individual, but it is kind of a guided quest that you do.
Is it free?
Online, on the online mode. Yes. So it is free. It's just added to the online. So as long as you pay for the PlayStation Plus, you could go in there and play it, or whatever online access on Xbox or PC. Well, they don't have, this isn't on PC yet, is it? I don't think Red Dead, they put it on PC.
Yeah, I don't know. Remember. No. I think it is on PC, but I don't really remember.
I think they've done it now, but I haven't really heard of people playing it. So
yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading through this clown protest thing is interesting. There's a whole group of people. There's a Discord and a forum, Brian, that's spun up.
Mm-hmm.
that were they were protesting, and then there's videos of lobbies full of clowns.
Yes.
All just interesting. I guess.
Yep.
I hate to say this, Brian,
Mm-hmm.
but I was right. I knew Red Dead Online was going to be a failure, and I said it on this program a million times. It made sense. What are you going to do with all you have is horses and carriages? What the hell are you going to do? There's no jets. There's no helicopters and race cars and roller coasters. None of this crap. You don't bathe. The Wild West. What the hell are you going to do? I knew this wasn't going to work.
Says kind of a small update for 7-month wait.
But again, what did we expect from an online version of a game where you ride around a horse and shoot them? I mean, at the core, look, the time period just isn't conducive for
online creating crazy content online that people are going to be interested in.
What again? What is your variety? Different
this
color
is where
horses or running?
See,
those are your two means of transportation.
What I thought they should have gone with was more of creating, like, you can get a place to live. You can get like a piece of land and you can build a cabin on it and you can make it your own. Instead, they have these little campgrounds that you have. You have like a little tent, and then that's what you're doing in the online, and it moves around randomly on the map. So you're never in the same place. You don't really have your own place. What they should have done is have you going into a canyon or something that's instanced, to where you can have your own little private area and you build that up. And if people are in your group, they can come and see it, or, make some sort of a little playable system off of that. Instead, it's 100% based on these quests, which just don't entice me to go in and play. It's a lot of work for very little payout.
Well, Just for Gaming just kind of said this. You said a lot of work, not for a lot of payout. He's making that argument on Rockstar's side, saying they have no reason to update Red Dead Online because GTA Online is such a cash cow.
They don't have a way to make money on this one.
But here's the thing. Then why did they even bother?
There's not enough
with
to entice them.
I don't think they should have wasted their time with it. Plus, it wasn't available on launch, and I knew it was going to suck. I think everybody knew it was going to suck. They should have just not bothered with it.
Or just make it like a PvP lobby, make a menu, and then people can jump into a PvP session. Don't do this whole open world thing that is really just a mess. It doesn't feel very fluid at all.
And what I find so interesting is Firebomb just put a comment in here. I agree with him completely. He says, I love the world of Red Dead way more than GTA. So do I. In a single player environment, in terms of story and lore, I think I enjoy the Red Dead story and the time period way more than I do GTA. But GTA makes sense for online. Red Dead does not.
Now, Just for Gaming says he loves Red Dead Online way more than GTA Online. But like,
that's a hot take.
If you're purely into PvP, then I can see how that would make sense. If you're good just doing the PvP rounds, because those you're really just queuing into PvP. But the whole wandering around and doing the ones where you have to deliver things places, for me, it just seems like a big mess. Like it does, and even the open world PvP they do just doesn't seem fluid. It just doesn't feel natural. You get people doing weird things. It just doesn't. For me, I didn't enjoy it when I went in and did it. But I would think that if you're into the PvP of it, that's where you could get into it and actually enjoy the online, because it's not the big open world stuff.
Kramit's talking about gameplay loop and talking about that with online.
Having like Indians versus Cowboy Wars or something. Yeah, they're having to do little lobbies, and it's pretty much just a little PvP lobby. That's probably the most successful part of their online.
Yeah, I would rather play GTA Online than the GTA story, and I'd rather play Red Dead single player than Red Dead Online. I just think I enjoy the calamity of GTA Online more than equally to what I enjoy the single player of Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah,
it's just two completely different style games. They should not be treated the same way. And I knew Rockstar was going to make a mistake treating them the same way, because they are not. And on so many different levels. I don't know how anybody at Rockstar thought, oh, this is a great idea. This was doomed from day one. There was literally nothing they could do to make this successful because it just doesn't make sense, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think if they would have maybe had this kind of addition onto my single player experience, I mean, they're adding all this content. Like, why not make it to where I can do that in my single player mode? Add it as an additional quest and have it on here. I'd rather go play it in single player. Yeah. Personally.
Well, speaking of Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto, that game has been out since 2013, I believe, and they have announced that they are releasing yet more content for GTA Online. They're adding new heists and an entirely new location some point over the summer. It's going to be the biggest update ever to GTA Online.
Yeah, GTA Online.
And it's going to include a whole bunch of new heists and an entirely new location.
I'm wondering if it's going to be maybe an island or something.
I don't know.
Like a Caribbean island or something like that.
This is Rockstar's got a better money printing machine with GTA than the government has with the Federal Reserve. I mean, it's like, it's incredible. It is a license to print money because it's fun and people like it. And they don't feel like they're getting screwed. Yeah. Now, I'm not a big fan of the whole shark card thing, but obviously some people are because they're making a fortune off GTA Online. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I still don't see what they can do with Red Dead Online to get anywhere near the level of participation and people giving money as they do the GTA Online. Because as you said, the buildings that they're able to do, those crazy casinos, and you can buy planes and cars and tanks and, as you said, a horse. You could buy a horse and maybe a cart to pull.
Maybe a train, Brian. Maybe you could hop on a train, a steam-powered locomotive.
But the thing is, they'd have to instance. Yeah, I guess you could do a train, go one way. Yeah.
What about a boat? A rowboat.
I know.
Four-hole means
that
of
would
transportation.
Be the luxury.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to do it on train tracks or you have to do it on a river, which there's very few of in the game.
Riv BTW is saying still no single player DLC. I think he's referring to GTA.
Red Dead. Well, but Red Dead as well. Remember that Red Dead had the kind of zombie mode one that they did on the original.
Yeah, but
like, there's still no additional content like that.
Well, it's the same thing with GTA. They had, I don't remember which one it was, but they had
GTA.
They had the Gay Tony DLC. Then there was another one. I think that was GTA 3 or 4. I don't remember which one. Maybe it was, I don't remember what, but there was a whole bunch. There was like 3 different versions of whole stories of the game. Yeah, and
I don't know why they don't. I mean, I think they're putting all their money in on GTA 6.
Yeah, you know exactly why they haven't bothered with a single player, because they can't make any money on it. They're going to sell it for what, $25? $20 maybe?
The thing is, they make so much money selling the original games, which pays for all of their production and pays for a lot of the next game that they're going to release. And then they have all of these shark cards and everything that they're selling as well. There's no motivation. I wish as a consumer that they would have more motivation to keep creating content. Like even for Red Dead, I love GTA, played the whole thing all the way through. I love Red Dead, played the whole thing all the way through. I wish there was more content. I got to the end and it's like, okay, now what? I just don't feel like playing the online versions. They're just not as fun to me.
But from a business standpoint, it makes a lot more sense to invest your money into the online.
Yeah.
You can get a way better ROI.
Yeah, but it would be nice to have more game to play. I mean, for me as the consumer, I would rather have more quests and more extents and more things to do because they built this huge, beautiful world with amazing AI.
Yeah, but you can just
totally cutting edge.
But in GTA, at least you can just roam around and just do things after the game is over, and you can do the same thing in Red Dead. But then there's no point.
But the thing is, I've done all the side quests. I've run out of things. All I'm doing is wandering around and shooting things.
Yeah, but that's boring. That's my point. Is find another game.
Yeah,
go play Wild West Online.
Oh, perfect. Play for those bugs.
Yeah. So there's
all right.
a little rock star news for you on the program this evening.
One thing, well, probably, I don't know that we need to necessarily talk about today, but Sea of Thieves, they are putting out an update tomorrow. So we'll probably talk about it next week because we'll have more information about it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be called Ashen Winds. It was supposed to be out a couple weeks ago, and I think it was delayed. And now that this is fixing things with like hit registration, adding some accessibility improvements, things like that, and some new content, with Ashen Winds, I think has something to do with like a tornado, a fire, something crazy. So
fancy.
But we will have, they should release tomorrow. We'll have more information on it next week.
Cool. What else we got?
Dead Matter. They came out with an update. They put out an update on the 24th, 4 days ago. One nice thing is they actually have a little bit of information on the closed alpha. This says we finally have light at the end of the tunnel. While we have not fully solved the issue we're having pressed on us from the legal side, it looks like that by the start of next week, we should have things squared off. So this is great news because that means because as of today, the 24th, they have all of their launch infrastructure in place.
Great.
If things continue to move forward smoothly next week, as they have been, then we will be initiating our launch of the closed alpha. However, for the sake of transparency, and because we have never launched a project on this scope or scale ever before, we will be doing a slow rollout. It will essentially boil down to the following steps. First things first, because of Indiegogo's API does not properly report refunds to our back end, which will require us to reconcile our backers' data with theirs. And because of limited payment processing methods that are available for us, we'll be initiating a 2-week countdown. So pretty much the people that they can verify immediately have properly paid and own the game, they'll be launching with those first. So, and then they'll make other announcements as the countdown starts.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Yeah, go right ahead.
This is the first time I've heard them reference that their issue here was legal. I was always under the assumption that it was a gameplay thing.
I thought it was technical. Yeah.
So did I.
I never caught that in any of their previous. I never caught anything in their previous ones about legal.
Yeah.
So I feel like next week I need to dig into
it's trademark.
But
it's a trade. They said it's a trademark dispute.
Yeah, it says while we're advising not to divulge too many specifics, it is essentially a trademark dispute that requires a bit of back and forth on what was okay and what was not. We have gone out of our way to minimize this issue popping up again. So I'm trying to think of what even would be a trademark issue with this.
Okay, what game? Escape from Tarkov, right? They've got all these knockoff in-game brands, right? But
it seems like it'd be easy for them to just say, "Oh, we didn't realize that," and take out any kind of. They haven't released it yet, so everything is still prototype.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is internal. There's no legal thing that they couldn't just obviously change. That's what I'm trying to think of. What would be big enough that they would actually have to bring legal into it? That it's not something they could just easily replace or take out of the game.
And how did anybody find out about it? Somebody had to have brought the trademark dispute to somebody legal, but nobody's played the game. From what I understand, I mean, who's got access to it?
Yeah, I just don't. I was hoping
it's
to find
odd.
something quickly. I don't see what it is.
No, and if they're in the middle of going back and forth on a trademark dispute, you're not going to see what it is. I'm struggling to understand, figure out who would have brought forward a trademark claim on a game that nobody can play or has access to.
Okay, I think I may have found something.
Okay,
there was a movie called The Dead Matter.
Okay,
in 2010.
Yeah, but
I mean that's possibly Quantum Integrity, which is this company, owns the following trademark, Dead Matter. Right. So they own the trademark for Dead Matter, but it might be an international. I mean, it's hard to say what in the world, if someone has contested it. Could be that someone like this Dead Matter from 2010 is contested saying, hey, no, we had Dead Matter first.
True.
It's called The Dead Matter. It's a song by a heavy metal band.
Yeah, you can't trademark music. It's the title of a song you can't trademark.
So I don't know. Huh.
It is interesting.
Very
I did
weird.
not.
I'm just not. And yeah, as you said, I never saw anything specific about this.
They never mentioned it. And I just always assumed it. We even talked on this show about how, it's probably a server issue and they can't figure this out and what are they doing? And now it turns out it's legal. It's always legal, Brian. It's always legal.
Very interesting.
Yes,
well,
very
there you
interesting.
Go. Now we know. But I don't see any more in this really going into detail of hinting any more about what it's about. So.
The good news is this happened now instead of a Friday the 13th type situation where you release the game and then have to halt development because you lose a copyright or trademark dispute. And you literally can't update the game that you built and sold.
Yeah. I mean, that's... having 7 Days to Die on their console version, which can't receive a single update. So
yes,
they also talked about some other updates in this. That's some development progress. One thing they're doing is if you right click, show controls, you click the there's sound for this. So I don't know if you want to click and play that. But this is showing their radial menus for interacting with things, interacting with the doors. So pretty much some of their things for blocking and holding people out of buildings and zombies out of buildings. They also show off some of their underwater effects. These are weird little embedded videos that they've done.
Yeah.
So here's their underwater effects. You can see, I don't know if you can go to the beginning again.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
But yeah, it looks nice. They show off some of the traps and barricades. Just a lot of graphics as far as like farming equipment. I mean, they've got a lot of assets. They're putting a lot of things in this game. They're showing off some of the shooting with the targets. They have an indoor shooting range in the game. Another one that we saw last week, where they had some target dummies out there. They show that as a shooting range. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to, because I kickstarted this. So hopefully I'll have access to actually try it out.
Cool. Well, I very much look forward to it. I think we've talked about this before. This is kind of the last hurrah of games that are not out that are this genre.
We've been waiting for. Yeah.
What else is in the pipeline?
Well, I mean, we just saw the Grounded released, which was another one that we were waiting on. So that's out. This one is going to be out soon.
We need to make a game, Brian. You know anybody that wants to make a survival game?
I just don't have time. I've got half of one built.
Yeah. I tell you what, we might be in some serious... I know we've had this scare before on the show, but we might be in some serious trouble after Dead Matter launches.
Yeah. Hopefully Cyberpunk's really good. We'll see.
Cyberpunk's not a survival game, is it?
Hey, I'll talk about it every week if we have to. It's an amazing game. So one thing, so just for gaming, he said, I just bought 7 Days to Die console version for $6. Now I know why it was $6. Just so people know, the reason that no content updates are going to the console version is because what was the name of that company that released all of those?
Telltale.
Telltale. Telltale. They licensed it to Telltale. Telltale, because they had the Walking Dead series, added Michonne and various characters from The Walking Dead to 7 Days to Die on the console versions only. Mm-hmm. Well, Telltale went under. The fun pimps who make 7 Days to Die don't have legal rights to the console version of 7 Days to Die anymore. Telltale is no longer in business, really. I mean,
so yeah, somebody's going to buy their assets if they already haven't.
Yeah, and I know that 7 Days to Die has been trying to buy back the rights to it, but they haven't been able to come to any type of agreement that's acceptable by 7 Days to Die's standards. I'm sure they don't want to throw out a bunch of money for it, but that's why you have an outdated version that's way far behind. Sure, it has a couple characters in there from Walking Dead, but that's pretty much the only benefit of the console version versus the PC. None of the new updates are going into the console version. So
yeah, I think I'm not sure who is currently operating the Telltale thing, because they're still selling these games, but it's pretty disgraceful that it's still for sale.
Yeah,
and it might come to the point where Sony needs to pull it down.
Yeah, because it's
or
going to be,
Microsoft.
especially if a game-breaking bug comes into play or a hack or something.
There's already game-breaking bugs. It's Alpha 14. Of course, the game's
but I'm
littered
saying
with
as far as like a
game-breaking
vulnerability or something that they view as actually a problem on the console.
Yeah, they should not allow people to buy it.
Yeah. Well, that'd be Telltale who needs to take it down.
Well, yeah, but
they don't care.
Who's running Telltale right now? I mean, it's probably being owned.
I don't know.
It's probably sitting in a liquidation. It's probably currently being owned by some liquidation company or something.
Yep.
Or it's sitting
still
in some
have money.
Yeah. Still
money's
making money
somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, sorry.
All right.
So rest in peace.
So now you own the old version. Have fun. So now No Man's Sky put out 2 updates this week. First of all, they have their 2.61 patch. These are the Desolation patch. Mainly a bunch of fixes. I'm not really seeing any major new content, but probably about 30, 40 fixes on here.
Whole bunch.
So if you've been running into some issues with No Man's Sky, because they did do a pretty big content update in the last couple of weeks, and then they did 2.61.1, which fixed an issue with specifically on Intel GPUs that were having performance issues due to a lens flare effect that they were doing. So it disables that lens flare effect, which Intel GPUs tend to mean a built-in CPU on a laptop or on a motherboard. You're going to best off just disabling almost everything you can on those type of GPUs. So they're doing that because it was pretty much lagging out the machine whenever the effect would go off. So
nice.
That is No Man's Sky.
All right. Very cool.
We got Last Oasis as well. They put out their 1.3.30923. 3 fixes in this, or actually 3 fixes and 2 adjustments here. Increase the probability of getting modules from volcanic loot sites. Increase the firebolt health. And then 3 of the fixes, they fix various client crashes, fix some cases of getting stuck in walkers, and fix protection bubble being too small in some cases. So that is Last Oasis, which haven't heard a lot from it. I played it, was fun, but you would figure maybe they'd be starting to roll out a little more content about now, because it seems like it's running fairly stable, but it'd be nice to see some more content in that game.
It's doesn't have a huge player count. It's got 1,000 people playing right now, which there
is content there, but usually about this time, they start rolling out maybe some skins or assets or something for people to kind of keep them excited about it. And I just haven't seen that.
It's peaking at about 1,500 players a day, which is not terrible. I mean, the game's only been out a couple months, but if you were to tell me it was 300, I'd say, ooh, that's rough. But it's not like that. Little bit higher than I was anticipating.
Hopefully, it may be they're trying to totally stabilize it before they do any content, so that way people don't complain. Hey, fix your game first, Clegg, like we've heard a million times.
Yeah, I guess this is true.
Also Arc, they put out a number of patches this week. We have 3.12.47, and we didn't do them last week, so I'm catching up with this one. Fixed multiple server crashes, fixed multiple under mesh exploits, fixed an exploit to block turret fire. Fixed saddles not respecting the armor clamp when releasing them from cryopods. Fixed EGS, which is the Epic Game Store clients not being able to rejoin full servers without relaunching the application. Fixed multiple missing sound effects and added multiple missing sound effects. Added a limit to the number of flex pipes that can be placed within an area, which who knows what people are doing with that. Then 3.12.52 fixed an shooting exploit. Fixed multiple mesh exploits. Added additional settings to the dynamic config, and fixed some colorization issues with the crystal wyverns. And then 3.12.53, this was on the 21st, they fixed multiple mesh exploits again, fixed an exploit that allowed you to avoid cryosickness, removed the purple crosshair from Bloodstalkers when it has a valid enemy target due to exploit potential, and end the Summer Bash event on official servers. And then the final one here, 3.12.57, fixed once again multiple server crashes, cruise missiles will now be targeted by turrets that are set to survivor only. Tweaked the Bloodstalker's valid enemy target HUD color and additional server-side validations to prevent exploits, which is kind of strange, and fixed a bug with the Bloodstalker that prevented it from harvesting corpses. So that is 312.57. That's all of them for ARC.
All right, very cool. We've got Atlas now. I think we showed the video last week or the week before.
The trailer, yeah.
The trailer for the farming, farming house update, and but it's actually live now. So they've got the new farming house, but the big part of this is that you'll build this unit on your land, and it will passively collect resources while you're not there. So the problem and again, I haven't played Atlas in literally years, but I think the problem that you were running into with Atlas, Brian, was that they wanted obviously the game to be based on land, based on sea, but you had to spend so much time on land doing things like collecting crops and wood and stones and thatch and all these different materials that you couldn't do that because you're too busy collecting crap. So
because you didn't have the dino, like if you look at ARC, they have the dino, which becomes a gatherer to mass gather things. Yeah, it's a tool. Atlas didn't have that. So you're sitting here and just getting a little bit better tool, and still running around and chopping these trees down and doing all these things. So I think this is kind of circumventing that and allowing you to still get that mass gather around your base without having to run around with the tool and constantly fix it.
So you build the farmhouse. If you have structures within the radius, it will lower the farming efficiency, which is cool. Obviously, less land to gather from means less yield. It's got 30 slots in its inventory. It will stack up to 10,000 units per slot, I believe, depending on what it is. It's capped at 8,000 weight and will stop auto farming when it reaches that point. Stone farmhouses gather slightly faster and are more difficult to destroy, and then they may not be placed within 12,000 units of another farmhouse. So you're not going to be able to just fill up an island with these things and mass collect resources. So that's pretty cool. I think we'll probably make a decent change to the style of gameplay that they're looking for here. They've also removed the XP reward for the snowman encounter event that was running. They fixed a duping bug with the explosive barrels, and then any characters over the level of 80 have been rolled back to 80. So if somehow you got to 81 or plus, it's going to roll you back. And then the torpedo now has increased damage of 50%. So they jacked up the damage big time on that. And that is the new version of Atlas, which is 407.2. It is live now.
Nice. We'll have to try it out at some point. I don't know. I want to go in and see how it is, but I just, man.
But do you?
Yeah.
You know what I want to do?
I built that tool. I want to see if it's going to work.
Yeah. I
don't know.
I can't say I feel the same way you feel, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the idea, but it just was very poorly implemented. So
I like the idea of a lot of things, but
I know
the reality is sometimes the idea sucks.
Doesn't mean I'm going to subject myself to it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of doing a video game podcast. Now, 5 years later, I'm thinking, what am I doing with my life?
This wasn't such a great idea anymore. All right. So SCUM put out an update this past week, and it's 0.4.83.24748. The versioning system. Nice. First of all, one thing they are saying is we strongly recommend you delete the save folder that is located in the SCUM app data, and that resolves some issues that you might experience in the game. Bug fixes. They fixed probably about 10 to 15 bugs. Some of these things were with weapon animations. Some of them with various movements and things traps that weren't being triggered, things like that. They did fix a bug that disabled lock picking, so you should be able to do that again. The one thing they did as far as quality of life things, they adjusted the damage on RPK while firing, and they decreased the frequency of cargo drops. They also have added the ability to set fame point gain multipliers on private servers through admin commands. But yeah, this one, I don't know. Like this is another one where they keep adding stuff. There's going to be a point where we're going to go in there and say, "Oh, they've added something really cool." It's got to be I don't know. I think there is some form of base building in there, but that didn't seem to make people really interested in playing it. There's got to be something else that's going to be that thing that makes it. Hey, this is because it's a survival game. People are starving for a good survival game right now.
But okay,
this has base building.
No, I disagree with you, Brian. I've
Yeah,
got a
you don't think
realization. No, I don't, because there's plenty
People
of them.
say they do at least.
Yeah, well,
people
guess
say
what?
they
I
do.
say a lot of. I'm dealing with a completely separate issue in for one of my other projects I'm working on, and it's the same thing, Brian. People say they want to do all these things.
But
We
then when it
want
comes
this. We
down
want
to
this.
it,
We
they
want
don't.
this. Well, then do it. Then do it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of survival games to play if you want to play one, but you don't.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it, and so are you, and so is probably 100% of our audience. But I think
I
we're
still
living
think
it.
it's
I think we're lying to. I think we're lying to ourselves, saying we want a good survival game. I don't necessarily. Obviously, we do, but I don't think there's this mass. There's going to be this mass exodus of people from Call of Duty and other big games swelling into the H1Z1 project that people, for some reason, think they want to play. They don't. You don't want to play a game like H1Z1. And if you say you do, you're either mentally ill or a liar. Those are the only two options. We don't. You don't want a good survival game. You don't have the time. You want the idea of a good survival game. You don't want to actually play it.
And that's the thing. That's what I've realized personally is I do not have time to play a real survival. And we've talked about this. I think we've deconstructed enough to truly get to the guts of it. Like what actually happened is the economy. I think right now people are thinking they're going to play games, but I think there's enough kind of crazy things going on to where they're distracted. But when the economy was way down, people were home. A lot of people out of jobs. People are playing certain video games. And now, and we're kind of in a weird spot with COVID and a lot of people being home. I mean, I'm still working. So for me, I don't have time. You're still working. So it's not, we don't have this time that a lot of people that maybe have to stay home and don't have jobs that can be done remotely have time. But I don't have that time. The economy is good. When the economy was really good, everybody was working. Now part of the population has time for this, but part of it doesn't. And I just don't. I don't have time for it. And I wish I did, but I'm not willing to sacrifice these other things that are in my life right now to be able to play a game.
See, I don't believe you. I don't really think you wish there were. I think you wish the idea of it existed. I
wish we could experience those feelings that we had when we were playing.
That's
and
my
having
point.
fun.
You want the concept of a good survival game. You don't. I'm not attacking you. You don't actually want to play it. No, and I'm just as guilty.
I want that camaraderie. If I could get that through another type of game where we could play together, kind of like what we get in Ark. But we've done it too many times with Ark. We can't get that same feeling again.
Okay, then let me propose this to you, Mr. Brian. I think Discord has been a huge detriment to the camaraderie. Because now I can chat with all of my friends.
We don't need games.
No, I don't. Why do I have to play a game with you? I can talk to you in Discord all day.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why do I have to sit and play a video game with you? We can chat and send messages back and forth and pictures and memes all day. We don't have to sit in a game chat and talk. We just shit post in Discord all day.
Yeah.
So who cares about the game? The game was the avenue.
Yeah.
We have the new avenue until Discord bans us, which will be inevitable. But I don't think I can tell you what, Brian. If you closed your eyes and said, "Give me the most perfect survival game ever," and I were to hand you that on a silver platter right now, I don't think you'd play it. I don't think I'd play it. I don't think a majority of the people that listen to this program would play it. You'd like the idea of playing it, but you won't play it.
People just don't want to give. People don't want to give a time sink. We've gotten so spoiled with quick. I mean, look at Call of Duties and all this. They like the quick. I have an hour I can play here right now. I'm going to play for an hour. What do you get accomplished in all these survival games that we play in an hour?
Nothing.
Now, it takes like 4 or 5 hours of playing before you really feel like you've actually accomplished anything and get that reward, right? That kind of brain reward that you get from feeling like you did something.
Yeah.
You don't get that. But when you go and play these quick, fast-paced, and that's why out of the survival genre, we grew and got Battle Royale, which became the big thing because you got that reward in 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour. You didn't have to play for 4 or 5 hours. And then you could get that reward every 20 minutes, 30 minutes for every 20 or 30 minutes, as long as you wanted to play, you know? So I think that's kind of the downside of this is, you know, we've gotten spoiled too quick in short games, which has made a game like this. Or you have the people on the other extreme. Well, they're going to playing WoW and things like that, where they can just throw all their time in it and you don't hit the end and you're not constantly stopped by bugs. So I think that the people that want that long-term, they're playing other games. Everyone else has switched to Battle Royale, which we've kind of been like, oh, I can't stand that now. But that's where the, you know, people that enjoyed that feeling of, ooh, I just gathered these materials. We built this cool base over the last 5 hours. You know, now we're playing other games that give them that burst, and it's hard to go back and get the drawn out reward when you've been given the short, you know, shotgun reward for so long now.
Agreed. And I'll tell you what, SCUM has got 4,000 people playing right now, Brian, which is out of the
one of the
small survival games. I think they're probably on the Conan's a little bit bigger, but on the like the smaller indie survival games, you know, Miscreated, Zera, SCUM. There's a whole bunch of other ones. The Black, whatever it's called, Wake, or not Black Wake. Whatever that other pirate one is, or medieval time one. This has got to have the highest player count by thousands, literally.
Yeah. Yep. And the thing is, they're doing a lot of things right. I think they're fighting against pretty much what you've commented on. They're fighting against this lack of people wanting to commit that much time. They're getting the kind of Arma people. They're getting, you know, like Arma has its following a base of people that play it religiously and will play it. Well, they're getting some of those. And your average kind of player that was willing to go play H1Z1 with us, because we got a lot of people that weren't those type of players that came in and just kind of jumped on the train and found out, hey, this is kind of fun, and they played with us. And you know, those people I think are playing different games. They're playing the Call of Duties. I mean, what do we see in our Discord? People are playing mostly Battle Royale games.
Firebomb says, I think you are correct. Well, thank you, Firebomb. That was my injection. He says, I keep saying I want Dead Matter, but the truth is, when we get it, I won't have the time to invest to really enjoy it. Discord gives me the social chatter I need from survival social friends.
Yep.
I hate to say that I'm right, but I am.
And this is something.
Go ahead.
From WoW, from my days in WoW, we used TeamSpeak and all this, and that was kind of the beginning of these type of things. You would get a clan or, you know, guild going. Everybody would go into a Discord and you would socialize while you play. Well, then you realize, well, we don't even, as you said, we don't even need the game part anymore. We can socialize while we work. We can socialize while we watch movies. We can socialize while we listen to music. You don't need the game before. You can go play a game, but there's not the one core thing drawing us all together other than the platform of the chat.
Yep.
Everyone else is doing their own things. It's very difficult to get everybody focused on one thing anymore.
Yes, sir. Well,
so
I thought that derailed epically.
Yeah, that's fine though. All right, so there's actually some information on Rust. So this is actually a Shadowfax. They didn't put out an official Rust update, but they do have some information on the armored passenger module. So this is the vehicles they've been adding into the game.
Greetings, survivors and friends, Shadowfax here, and welcome to another episode of the Rust Update, or this game's going to be humongous by the time they're finished with it. And as you may have already seen, last week a familiar strategic deployable all the way from the Legacy era made its way onto the staging branch. the wooden barricade, a workbench level 1 item that costs only 20 scrap to research. That much hasn't changed, but over the last week its health and cost have. It's now 250 wood to craft instead of just 100, its HP has dropped from 135 down to 120, and it will decay even faster outside of building privilege. Apart from that, not much else to report on it except to say that this is all still subject to change. So look out for more tweaks in the 2 weeks remaining until August's forced wipe and patch. In the world of cars, a number of adjustments are being made to mass and collision damage when hitting animals or humans, but the best thing that's being worked on is a new armoured passenger module. Soon there'll be no more fighting over steering wheels, as a better option will be available. Each module is its own separate section, but comes with flaps not just between passengers and the outside world, but also between each section. So, if you want to completely ignore your team, you can. There were also some changes to vehicle decay, with none being applied when one's on a powered vehicle lift, but it will no longer be possible to prevent decay of stationary cars by removing their engine parts. Boogie boards and inner tubes, being the cheap seaside treat they are now much more vulnerable to bullet and slash damage, and paddling pools are no longer invulnerable to thrown weapons. Such a game-breaking bug, that one. On the staging branch, Hoof Hoof's sensor range was increased to 15 meters, and the description was changed accordingly. Water pumps will be faster, with pumps yielding more water per pump. Hostile markers should only show when within 200 meters of a safe zone, and in a stunning move, coffins can now finally be locked. Because zombies or something, I don't know. There were a ton of small quality of life tweaks apart from this, but something really cool for cinematographers is going to be the ability to map convars to MIDI devices, whether that's with a controller, as shown here, or even a MIDI controller app, with this all being done over Wi-Fi. I'm sure if you're into this sort of thing, then you're already salivating, and you should be able to find a full write-up of how to get started with it on the Rust Wiki sometime next week. It's a work's in progress now, and it appears that things with the mixing table are heating up. A lot of commits lately about that one. Still no visuals or exact details from the team about what to expect with it, apart from some tea recipes. The voice props branch has also started receiving more commits lately, and again this one's shrouded in mystery. Is it related to leaving each other voicemails, or something to do with the lore? Time will tell. And it appears that there'll be a new boat shop and fishing village at some point soon, presumably a separate monument and not something attached to the harbour, although there are no visuals or details to give yet. I'm guessing it'll work something like the Airwolf vendor, but what will this one be called? Sea Cow? I'll keep you updated when I know more. And finally, sharpen your crayons and dust off MS Paint. Face Punch are having a merch design competition. I'll leave a link down below for you to check it out. Make sure you're subscribed for updates and more. Leave a like if you enjoyed this vid, and join me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and my Steam group. Links are below. I'll catch you all soon. In the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio.
All right. Quick little update there from our friend Shadowfrax on some things going on in the world of Rust.
Very good. All right. And then let's just jump to 7 Days to Die. They released another one of their updates to their alpha. And this is one where a number of fixes, they did fixes and changes, but let's go into some things that they added. Localization updated for destroyed concrete material, which is pretty much localization is the translations of various texts in different languages. Set up XML localization and icons for the gas pump remake. Updated localization for the Wild West Coffin Helper. Set up XML localization for Bleacher's Set. Destroyed concrete material. Graphics, GFX graph, text mem, various console commands you can do. They've added wood cross 3x1, a couple different materials, variants for towers, solves issues with SI or not falling on collapse. So they had various things that were not properly falling when a building would and I'm sure we ran that. We have a video of a building that's falling. You remember this one? And there's things that are hovering in the air that wait for a long time and then they drop. I don't know if it's lag or if it's bugs. The window, there's a window that can now be opened from the escape menu. Also autofocuses search boxes now. The HUD office chair XML localization icon setup, object pool block entity preloading, and the bomb shelter 01A19 updates. So those are the added things they put in. And then they just did a bunch of changes and fixes. So Nothing super exciting, but a lot of little things that looks like they missed.
Nice. Dead by Daylight, Brian. They've got a mid-chapter update out here, and a couple of the things in here are some adjustments of some killers. Leatherface. They said he was one of our least popular killers. I find that hard to believe, but I haven't played the game in a while. So they.
I wonder if they nerfed him enough to where he wasn't fun anymore or something.
Yeah, because he was always a real pain in the ass. So they made some changes to that character. They've added the way that the chainsaw sweep works, and there's now a different charge system and whatnot. The hillbilly, they adjusted the hillbilly as well. Changed some of his perks and effects, and then it's a big mid-chapter update. There's a whole bunch of things in here.
They did a lot of changes for add-ons and
it's a pretty
perk changes.
Specific update. Lots of very specific things about certain killers and perks and charges and boosts and things like that. So, it's pretty technical. Yeah, you have to play the game to understand any of it. So,
yeah, I was looking at it, I was like, well, it's just a lot of tweaks.
Like, what is a charge, Brian? He starts with 3 charges instead of 2. What does that mean to you? Probably nothing.
No.
So
perfect.
That is Dead by Daylight.
There you go, and I think that's pretty much it for today.
All right,
We're
cool.
ahead of schedule.
Yeah, under budget and ahead of schedule, Brian. That's
this is the one we're supposed to be ending the podcast. We're just
I agree.
Never ending on time.
Well, then let's go ahead and work on the ending here. Before we end, of course, we've got current players, and we've currently got 41,956 individuals playing Ark Survival Evolved. The 24-hour peak 63,963. The 7-day peak 24,271. Moving on over to Rust, currently playing 47,309. The 24-hour peak 66,122 with a 7-day peak of 77,968. Moving on over to 7 Days to Die. Just shy of 20,000 at 19,679 people currently playing that. 23,847 is your 24-hour peak with a 7-day peak of 31,805. Here's a game we haven't talked about in a while. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Currently playing 50,410. The 24-hour peak 438,898 with a 7-day peak of 468,972. And wrapping it up is Deadside. Currently playing 825, the 24-hour peak 1,030 with a 7-day peak of 1,288. And that is current players, Brian. All of the different numbers of players playing video games. So.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into tip of the week, where either I'll give a general gaming tip or one for a specific one. I figured, hey, just released, we'll do it on Grounded. So this is tip of the week. All right. So in Grounded, being that this is a survival game, the first thing that you usually want to create is a chopping tool. So when starting, you create that chopping tool. You can create what's called a pebble axe. And that's created with 3 sprigs, 2 pebblets, and 1 woven fiber. The sprigs and the pebblets, those are the easy things to get. Since they're all over the ground, you can run around and find those. The woven fiber is more difficult because you'll need to get a plant fiber sample. And then the first camp you come to, you go to the tent and you can use the computer to analyze the item. And this is how you unlock crafting recipes. So this helps you discover what materials you need for a recipe. Then once you put them in there, it will unlock the woven fiber recipe, and you can use various materials that you're now able to gather, that you can gather through the world to then make woven fiber pieces. Then you can go through and create the actual axe, and then this helps you to cut down those trees and to start actually gathering things efficiently. Another thing, just as a side note, I saw a bunch of people talking about this. you can now, for people that are scared, if you have arachnophobia, people that are scared of spiders, you can actually disable the spiders because there's big spiders in there. So for some reason, because people could be scared of them, they have a setting to where you can make them like a blob or something weird. So
yeah, I'm terrified of spiders.
So if you want to go into settings, you can actually put on arachnophobia mode, and it will make the spiders not look like spiders anymore. So just to help you out.
That's good.
So that is tip of the week.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
So, all right. So let's go ahead and close this raffle, and we'll roll.
All right.
Congratulations, Saul Greatman. And this is a perfect game for him, actually, because he loves this style of game. So congratulations. I will send you a link in Discord so that you can redeem this and start playing it, and let us know what you think.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Saul. We appreciate your support here on the program.
All right. Is there anything else we need to do before we roll on out?
Yeah, real quick. I do want to talk about something that we chatted about in the pre-show. So we are going to be stopping Game of the Week. The name that it's our schedules are just not realistic for it right now. And what we're going to do going forward is, instead of this, oh, we doing a game this week? No. We're just going to do a Friday night game night when it is relevant. So when there's an update, when we've scheduled something, when somebody says, hey, I want to play X game Friday night, let's do it, we'll do that. So that Game of the Week will be no more. We will be doing just a Friday night game night when it is relevant, when it makes sense to do so. So enough of this, like, oh yeah, we'll do this game, and then when nobody shows up, we don't show up. It's been stupid. So Friday night game night, we'll announce it.
But we can still do it. Like, for instance, Jonesy says, hey, what about like a Friday night tabletop? Which, we can still do those things, but we're just not going to announce them here. And if someone would like to do one, announce it in Discord, say, hey, I'm going to be playing some tabletop Friday. Whoever would like to join me can do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But nothing, the name is more of what we're changing than anything else. So,
yep. And we'll still be playing games. So,
yes.
All right.
Well, maybe. Yeah.
Partially. All right. So we get to rolling out?
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people find you on the internet?
All right. Well, if you want to find me at Brian Aldridge on Parler, or you can go to biteoftech.com. Also, you can go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. If you go to the right-hand side there, you'll see where you can join our server on Discord. If you want to participate, maybe play games with people on Friday night, you're more than welcome to do that. Also, we have a news channel. If you want to submit various news topics, you can do that in that channel. We have a lot of other chat and people hanging out and having fun on there. So that's the primary place if you want to come out and be a part of the community for our podcast. Come join our Discord. If you join our Steam group, you get a notification before the live show starts. And that's to be a little pop-up, makes it really easy to join us live. We are also on YouTube, on BitChute, on DLive, and on what's the other one? Let's see, on Twitch, where we're at now. And so if you want to watch the video form, you can do it on one of those. If you want to watch the video after the fact, you can watch it pretty much everywhere but Twitch. We also have our podcast extras that Judd does for us if you want to watch the pre and post shows at your convenience. Then also all the audio forms in the lower right. So if you want to use a desktop app or a mobile app on a device, we have all those links for various things to make that easy. And now we have show notes also for our 289 episodes of the show. So if you're going to be watching or listening after the fact, you can follow along with that episode and check out some of the things that we're referencing throughout the show. If you want to support us, we have a support tab up there. That gives you links to our Humble, which you can do like humble.infectionpodcast.com, amazon.infectionpodcast.com, or as you heard through the show, give us your Twitch Prime subs on Twitch. So thank you very much, and hopefully see you guys next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Brian, as always. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Infection.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, we did it. Look at that. Another 2 hours come and gone. Well, if you want to follow me on Parler, I think it's at Nicholas M. Craig on Parler. You can follow me on Twitter with that same URL as well. If you missed any portion of the show notes, images, videos, links, pictures, all that fun stuff is on our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.